Well, good morning. We are so late that I'm even late at our first parking lot. But I bet I've got time because Constance just went in there about 10 minutes ago. I'm having a hard time finding. I'm parked here in the sun, so I've got my camera here pointed in a strange direction. So let's just see. What I wanted to do is yesterday. Let me put a bookmark here. Yesterday, on my Facebook page, I posted something that a lot of people, at least initially, thought was really blasphemous or at least irreverent handout from Monday night class. Okay, and if you're on my Facebook page, you probably saw. It looks like it looked like this. Okay, and it's a two-sided thing with two what looks like trees of life at first, and this first tree of life has three triads or three triangles, just one on top of the other. 3, 3, 3. And they've all got their points going up, and they all look perfectly happy. And then you see something reaching up from below there as if to grab that number 7, as if, and then there's some arrows there indicating that something's going to happen. But you'll notice those arrows along the side, that's all pointing up. That means that the triads, the triangles are all pointing up. But something else happens over here that changes the look of where the Sephiroth are placed on the tree of life, more or less the way we recognize it. And you'll see in the second diagram there that there's a number 10 at the bottom. And there is, if I can make sure I'm showing it to you here, and there's Doth in the middle, a new sort of transparent or vaporous Sephira appears between triad 1 and triad 2. And you'll also notice that in addition to having a new number 10 and a vaporous one appear in the abyss, that the second and third triads have flipped over. Okay. Almost as if the creation of that 10 at the bottom created a dynamic that flipped the second two triads, creating a vacuum, if you will, a vacuum in the center of that area between the first triad and the second and third. Okay, called the abyss. Now, that's one way of looking at the reason that in Yod He Vav He, that second He, the last He in Yod He Vav He, is always treated differently. Yod He Vav He is like fire, water, air, and earth. But earth is kind of super special, okay? The princesses in the tarot, they represent the suit of, or the element of earth. But the princesses are strangely connected to the ace, as if, yeah, they may be low on the totem pole. The second He may be a second-class letter citizen in the Tetragrammaton, because she doesn't even get her own letter. It's just a He repeated. there's a mystery there, okay? And it's the sort of the mystery of our own existence, the earth plane, the Kabbalistic world of a Saya that we find ourselves in, that we more or less look around and say, well, this is what reality is, okay? But we all, and we more or less, from a mystical point of view, say, well, this is how the universe is. This is the way it should be. And indeed, the universe is operating absolutely perfectly right now. Nothing wrong with it, okay? It's not the universe that's screwed up. It's not the universe that thinks it's set apart and not, it's not the universe that thinks things are wrong. It's us. The universe may be operating perfectly, but it sure don't feel that way to me. Okay. Then there's this concept that religious scholars and authorities and preachers tend to point to, and they try to connect that with what they call the fall of man. Okay, what has separated us from our divine birthright. Okay. Well, in the Golden Dawn, there's various works of art, Kabbalistic works of art, that try to help illustrate the dynamics of what our spiritual situation really is. And one of them is called Eden, before the fall, and the other is called Eden, after the fall. Now, it doesn't really, it's beautiful with the seven-headed serpent snakes, and it's very cool. And if you've never seen those two images, please go to the internet, download them, or at least look at them, appreciate them and what they're trying to say. But in a sense, a simple tree of life diagram and the logic that went into creating what we use is this roadmap of consciousness called the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life can tell this story of the fall in a more simplified manner. And Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford, of course, who tried to teach just the basics of Hermetic Kabbalah for years and years, over the years got goofier and goofier and goofier with his explanation. Now, last night I ran across the handout. Here's what it says. The Sefer Proctologist, excuse me, Sefer Proctologist Assist, the Lost Lecture of Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford. In the beginning, Deity didn't have an asshole, so Deity created you. Now, I know that sounds terribly vulgar and everything else, but there's something behind that. In order for 10 to be created, well, first of all, let's look at this first one with the three triads, one on top of the other. Where'd it go? In Chicken Kabbalah, one of the students in the Zerubbabel Institute of Technology, or Zerubbabel Institute of Philosophical Youth, Zippy, wrote this as an assignment to the exercise that he was to do. You are the deity. You have not created anything. How would you go about making everything in the universe out of your oneness? Okay. I'm just going to read pieces of this. All I know is that if I were the deity before creation, I must have been very lonely. Being the only and absolute being, I might not even realize the nature of my own self. I symbolize this pre-creational state as a simple circle, and I got a circle with a 1 in it there. I've chosen this figure because the circle has no beginning or end, and designated by its holy number 1. Now, since I am 1 and absolute, it follows that 1 is the only real number, the only legitimate reality. As the deity, I think I would be quite happy in my condition of oneness and leave it at that. But something clearly happened to induce me to create. In order for me to create the many things in the universe, I would need to create more numbers. I think it happened like this. I was alone and bored and began to ponder the nature of myself. What am I? It was difficult because I was the only one. I had nothing else with which to compare myself. I wasn't a this or a that because I had not yet created thises or that's. I was the absolute. There was no outside of me. I could not hold up a mirror and look at my image and say, oh, look, I'm one of those. I could, however, with great stillness and concentration, turn the focus of my attention inward, and like the holy men of India, observe my perfect reflection at the very center of my being. I would then, for the first time, be conscious of myself. I am this, I would shout. Even instantly, as these words echoed in my absoluteness, I would fall from my pristine state of singularity, for I would now have to admit the concept of two. Myself, I am, and my reflection, this. The concept of two. Oh, curse the moment I ever brought two into existence, because the moment myself became conscious of my reflection, my not self, a third concept was created, that is the knowledge of the difference between self and not self. I am this, but that is not I. The concept of three. Conclusion. I assert that creation commenced when deity stirred from undistracted, became self-conscious, an act which transformed its self-existence as the inscrutable divine unity into its self-image as a deity of creation. Therefore, I suggest we also consider the number 3 one of our primary holy numbers. Okay. There's 3. We can't even think about 1 without the reflection and the knowledge of the difference between the reflection. Just the other day, we were talking about the grade of Magus, number 2, which is the primary fundamental vibratory word, if you will. But to say the word, it requires the word creates with it the ear to hear the word. So that's the 3. Okay. Now, here's winning essay number 2. I promise to get to the proctologist here. My compliments to Zabad, son of Aziza, for his wonderful essay on the holy number 3. I'm sure he would have gone on to enlighten us further had he not been in such a hurry last night to slink off to West Bethany so he could accidentally bump into someone else's girlfriend. Well, excuse me. Be that as it may, my self-control and dedication to study has rewarded me with the following. Since 2 and 3 are merely attributes of 1, they should be considered along with 1 as a trinity unit. And there's our triangle. There's our triangle. It's a trinity unit. Because we can't think of 1 without creating a 3. The 3, the triad, becomes a unit in itself. The trinity unit then behaves in precisely the same manner as the original 2 did when it reflected itself. It created a second trinity unit. And the same dynamics that brought that second trinity unit into existence brought the third trinity unit into existence. Okay. Now that is absolute perfection. Okay. It's the concept of 1 becoming self-aware, and the tripling of the triads, in a sense, is a further elucidation, is an exegesis on the dynamics of 1 reflecting as 2 and 3 being created at the creation of 1 and 2. So these 3 perfect triangles, one on top of the other, is this Eden before the fall. Everything exists in pure, I mean pure, undiluted potentiality. It's the foundation of everything, but there is no things yet. And here's where that hey final comes into play. Here's where instead of 9, we need a 10 for things to be, for things to inhabit, for things to manifest. We need an Eden after the fall. And here's where the cosmic proctologist comes in the rabbi's vulgar explanation. In the beginning, Deity didn't have an asshole, so it created you. In order for 10 to be created, an abyss needs to be formed between the supernal triad 1, 2, and 3 and the rest of the tree of life. In the vacuum, a false Sephirah, Da'ath, is formed. The 2 lower triads now appear to be flipped below the looking glass of the abyss. And the formerly pristine characteristics of the 2 lower triads are shattered and degenerated. Their excrement, shells, Qliphoth, create a cosmic dingleberry that is the 10th Sephirah Malkuth. New number 10. it is almost as if you've got those three perfect triads with their points up, and a cosmic proctologist reaches up from the bottom, like that guy, grabs a hold of, say, number 7, and pulls down, flipping the second and the third triad upside down, creating a 10 and a vacuum. A 10 and a vacuum. Fingers of the cosmic proctologist reaching up to grab number 7, pull it down through the newly formed asshole of the universe. Triads 4, 5, and 6, and 7, 8, and 9 will flip and lose their direct contact with the supernal triad, Eden, after the fall. In doing so, they will rupture and corrupt their waste, sputtering out the bottom to form the number 10 Malkuth. So in other words, what used to be 3 triads, 1, 2, 3, and then a triad of 4, 5, 6, and then a triad of 7, 8, 9. What used to be 5 becomes 4. What used to become 6 becomes 5. What used to be 4 becomes 6. What used to be 8 becomes 7. What used to be 9 becomes 8. What used to be 7 becomes 9. And we got a brand new number as the dingleberry. Now, don't think that it's nasty or wrong or evil or corrupt or anything else. These are levels of consciousness. We have separated ourselves from our normal, natural state where we know things to be like this, and we've fallen asleep to think that things look like this. Well, I guess that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of comments. I already have gotten some comments from real life, Orthodox Kabbalists saying, "How dare you do it? That's so vulgar. And, you're a Frenchman, and how can you can't talk about this stuff?" Don't worry. Don't worry about it. As Rabbi Ben Clifford says, don't worry about it. Anyway, from the very first parking lot and only a couple minutes late, that's it for today's class. I'm sure I've done enough damage for one day, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. So continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. I can make a better pop than that. Let me try this. There you. Okay. Constance will be out here any minute, and I'm in trouble. Do what thou wilt should be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.